Welcome back to the channel. I'm just going to make a very quick video on a little bit of the sort of partial restoration I'm doing on my mk5 transit recovery truck, smiley type. Wasn't going to make this video, but started working away at this wheel arch and this is what I've ended up with. So I thought I might as well document how I'm going to repair it. I'll just do it in little snippets. I'll probably not show the actual work, but essentially I've cut everything out. I'm deliberating over whether to order a new suspension top or not, because it's actually quite solid. It had a mega bad repair down here and down there. I'm gonna have to wait for that bit until I've rebuilt this section. But basically what I've done, I've cut out all the rot. There was no lip on the inside of the wheel arch, so I'm going to let that back in. I'm not 100% sure how this was made originally, but what I'm assuming is once I take this section off from here, I'll make an inner sill down, then the inner arch, and then this. So I'm thinking this section here, the sort of the pinch weld, if you like, is 3 pieces of metal thick. So what I'm going to do first is I am going to get rid of all this poor repair, and then I'm going to make an inner arch section, and then I'll let a piece down from here right the way down into it, scribe it so that I can shape it the same as the inner arch, and then that'll allow me to make this section here. I'm going to do a 1mm plate all the way from in there with a bend on it there and just a slight arc, which will go right in underneath this. What I'm thinking, if I keep that, is I'll weld it to it, and then I'll run a 2mm plate over the top and weld that in as well. And I may even knock it underneath the bulkhead, the 2mm, so that we've got a really strong suspension top. This is all totally solid. Obviously there's movement in it because it's now only on one little section. I've let the bolts out obviously to take any strain off it, but what I'm going to do now, I'm not going to film this, is I'm going to get rid of all these. I don't even know what they've done. It's proper shocking patch repairs. So I'll need to cut all of that out. Probably all the way up to maybe there. There's a cover that goes on there afterwards, but I can't live with that. The steps will be done at a later date. I'm not doing them right now. But this needs addressing because it's the structure of the truck. Just made the first piece. I need to cut and put it in. I'm just going to have to fiddle around in that section there to get that bit in, because there's a little bit of a lump in it. You can see there where it's going to come up to. Put a bit of Hydrate 80 on. Just show you the inside now. Clean the floor up a bit there, but you can see there where my new piece is going to be. Then I'm going to drop a piece from the inside of the cab onto that to sort of box it in, and then I can make the actual wheel tub. So I've got welded in as best as I could the inner wheel arch, just levering it down so it's not great. What I'm going to do is put this piece, or well obviously I'm going to do 2mm steel there, I've got the 2mm plate in. I've tied it into the A-pillar, just like that one. Still got like this piece to go on and stuff, so I'm just going to linish back all this now and then think about what to do next. So I've made a decision on how I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it sort of controversially, I suppose. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a 2mm plate over here and tie it in to the wheel arch over there as well. Weld that all up. Alright, so this is all 2mm all the way around. Just got to stick that piece back on there and make a piece for there. I need to pick up some more 2mm steel to go across there. I've not quite got enough. But I'm going to fill this bit in. I've picked up the 2.5mm plate to go on the strut mount, just marking it off there where to cut it. I'll show you on the inside how it's looking so far. So that's all going to be 2.5mm at the top there, and then obviously a nice big thick bead onto the strut tower. Just need to cut that arc out now, and I'm going to throw a couple of bead rolls in as well. So this is the new suspension top I've made. It's curved round to suit the wheel arch because it's going to be directly connected to it. I've put some bead rolls in to give it a load of strength. It's in 2mm steel. Need to clean up the actual suspension top that's already on there, and we'll get that welded in. Really nice thick bead of weld's going to go around this, and I'm hoping that's going to be stronger than factory. So I've got the strut top now tied into the A-pillar. Still need to sort out this section front obviously, but while I'm inside the truck I'm going to cut out down here now. Alright, so this is what I've got to deal with now. I've got to remake this chassis rail. Tiny little hole in the step which I'll just fill with weld for now because that step will be changed in the future. So what I'm going to have to do is 2mm plate there and across and blend it into this.
He'd let his speed creep a little too high as he approached a bend.
I'll just butt weld it across that with the 2mm, and then when I come to take this out, I'll just grind it off the butt weld, and I can do the same thing again.
Especially on country roads where you don't know.
It should really be done now, but I can't. It's too much to do. So I'll get this cleaned up, knock a plate up underneath here where I've done the top mount. See where the penetration's through there. I am going to weld the inside as well. I need to drop the strut, and I'm going to weld all the inside as well before cleaning it all up. Alright, so in this section now, I have got the new chassis rail welded in place. So that's tying it all back together. The next thing I need to do is I'm going to fill that piece in there all the way down to the bottom. I am going to spot weld it to the inside of that lip, so I do need to grind off them few spot welds there, but I then will seam weld it like I did. Oh, you can't see it now because it's got rust converter on it, but I'll seam weld all the way around. The bend is more for strength than anything, and I'll butt weld it up against that. Then what I'm going to do is do half of that in a shape, and then I'll do the flat bit. I'll have to do that in two pieces because I haven't got the skill to do that shape. I don't think it's worth even attempting it. And then I'll do the floor section. I'll try and do the floor in one piece, I think. I've cut it in such a way that I can. And then we've got to do just outside there, put the bulkhead back in, little piece to be made there. I've got probably another day on this piece, on this side, then we can move on to this side. I'm hoping this is floor pan. I know the chassis leg needs doing.
But if you end up with a newspaper column or a radio show,
got it
about cyclists with as much contempt as you normally reserve for unemployed
just up
people.
together there, a couple of spots in. Just got to shave a little bit off the top there and turn the welder up for that top bit, and also when I weld the side over there as well, which I'm going to do before I seam weld that, but I'm going to just weld this in now so that I can manipulate that. I've already done the bottom, but it's looking a nice shape anyway.
They talk about their costs of living and their costs.
That's all welded in now, up against the A pillar, up against the 2mm. It's only clamped in place at the bottom, still need to spot weld it. So that's lineage back as much as I want to do now. So I'm just going to make up this little piece here for the bottom of the A pillar, and then I can do the bulkhead and then the tub. Just knocked up this piece to go on here. Just going to give it a couple of tacks and then I can push it back in once I've got my block off. You see it's bending round with the original panel. I've got some places to plug weld it, and it matches up at the front as well. There's the bulkhead section done. I could linish it back if I wanted to. You can see I've got all the shapes and I could make that pretty much an invisible repair, but it's been repaired and I'd rather leave the meat on the welds. So I'm just going to put a bit of seam seal around it and stone chip it like the rest of it. The reality is, I'm not trying to hide that it's had any work done, because it has.
And we're also talking about this.
I just want to make sure it's strong. So the driver's side, strut tower's okay, inner wing's okay, but part of the step's knackered. It was so bad I've had to take the edge off the arch, which was actually okay. Floor section needs doing, and this chassis rail. So, first piece tacked in. Got a couple of bends on that, so obviously I use the shrink stretcher. Now we're going to make the inner sill, or sorry, inner arch. Do the same thing again. Just need to drill out the spot weld holes, but that's the inner section in, and that's how it's looking. Just mocked up this chassis rail in cardboard. Just need to see if I can do it all in steel. I've not put any laps on this because I'm going to butt weld it inside and out all the way around.
Which is, I'll say that again for anyone not paying attention, Stickling Pension Fund, Sorgenwelzijn, which is a pension fund service provider managing several an assassination attempt.
So I've managed to get it done in one piece. I've got to do a little cut and butt down there, but that's no trouble. I'll do that after it's welded in. So what I'm going to do is get a few tacks in. Just got to lift that up slightly, but I just need to chop this off first, throw a couple of holes in, and then ready to weld in. Just made up the step section there. So here's the floor piece, sort of roughed into size. I've got to drill all the holes where them dashes are there. That goes to the inner. Too good fit. The chassis leg there, it goes onto part of that. All the way down here. Obviously, I'm going to cut and butt all the way around there. But what I'm going to do is these three lines I've drawn here, I'm going to do a nice thick bead roll through. The reality is I'm not that bothered about trying to get it to look factory, but I want it to be strong enough because that's obviously where the feet are going to be. So I'll put some bead rolls in there just to take a bit of the tinniness out of it, and it'll just make it look pretty smart. Right, so that's the floor pan welded in. I'm especially pleased with how this has come out, how I've made that. I was going to linish it all the way back to make it invisible, but it's going to be covered up, it's not worth it. I'm going to Gravitex it all anyway. I'm just happy with how it's come out. Obviously the floor's not original looking, but it's nice and strong and it'll do me. I'm going to pull out the brake servo now, the pedal box, get rid of this fuse box, just lift it up a little bit so I can make the panel behind and get rid of that rust repair, get rid of that hole there that I made. And then it's going to be a case of wire wheel everything and rust treat it, get some primer on. Alright, so last night I managed to get the 2mm reinforcing plate fitted for where the master cylinder and the brake servo is going to go. So that's on there now, just seam welded a little bit round. I've got a tiny little hole there I need to touch in actually. I'm going to get this done now, linish back all that crap, and then I also need to drill off the surround there from the old gear stick, and I'm just going to spot weld the new piece in place. I'm not going to seam weld that. I've also taken off all the pedal box and everything and painted up the pedals that needed doing.
Fully funded. President Putin has described
just spot welded a plate in there, just put a little bead roll in just for a little bit of extra strength so it doesn't flex. Just stripped out all the interior, wire brushed it, or wire wheeled it rather, and hydrate aided it. So it's now ready, or once it dries, for some primer and then seam sealer. Just show you where I'm at now. I have decided to do a little bit on the driver's side inner wing. So there was a little bit of rust down the end here and then another repair there. So I've basically gone up to that section. That really does need to come out, but I need a headlamp panel for that, and at the moment, although there is a bit of rust on the inside, it's been plated on the other side, and I've not got headlamps around and I need to get this sorted. So I'll do it to there so that I can paint all the engine bay. That last bit can be done at a later date without any problems. I can keep the engine in for that. And then obviously last year MOT repair came up to here, so we're sound up to there. And again, it does want an inner arch because it is showing some pretty dodgy signs, but all non-structural. Everything that was structural I've done, all by the chassis leg. That's all there, so get this bit welded in now. I'm going to order a new pair of flexes, because I thought might as well order some flexes, get some new discs, new pads. I want to put it back together. Bits like up there I'm going to rust treat, and I'll just put a skim of fiberglass over it just to keep it protected for now. Like I say, it's plated on the other side, so structurally it's solid. It just looks horrible under here, so I'll just give that some fiberglass, stone chip it, and worry about that at a later date. Ideally, like I say, inner wing wants doing. Whoever put the wings on botched them up really, but at least inside the cab is going to be bob on solid, and it is up to sort of about here. Chassis legs are solid. All we've got to do is the wings, the outer arches, and half the steps, because the other half of the steps are actually okay. There's a little rusty patch there, but it's solid and it's onto the chassis anyway, so that can wait until we do the steps again. I'm going to try and hold on to that piece because it's got the original chassis number on, but sills have been done before, but again they were done rough. Arch has been done before, but again rough because they left their inner arches. Even where they seamed it in up there was rough, but I mean I patched them up 3 or 4 years ago and it's been solid, so it should be okay. I'm on the finishing straight now. Apologies for not filming, but I've just wanted to crack on and get it sorted. I'll show you where I am though now. So all my panels are all welded in. I've had hydrate 80 over everything. It's now seam sealed and it's ready for stone chip. So I've covered up all the wiring. I have to do it in 2 sections. So I'm going to do up to there, get all that done, get it top coated, drop it all down, and then I'll do the top. Top doesn't need the stone chip, the Gravitex though. So all this will be Gravitexed. Engine bay, all the welding's done, both sides. I left that section in, the old repair, but I've renewed all the way down to the end so that this bit can be done with headlamp surrounds. Underneath, I've hydrate 80'd it and seam sealed all the gaps. That's ready for some stone chip as well. So I'm just going to flash the stone chip underneath. Done all, I don't know if you can see, that section as well. I've made the little filler pieces there. I'm leaving this. I was going to cover it in, but then I thought, do you know what? It's just another seam to rust. I've covered the bits of subframe are going to get bits of paint on, but I'm not too fussed. That can be dropped at a later date. So not loads of space. I'll just show you where my I've masked up where my bolts are, because it's so hot today. It's 22 degrees. I've got the Gravitex on the bonnet of my Escort there, heating up in the sun. So I'm going to crack on with that. I'll come to you when it's sorted. Quick look, it's now white stone chipped. I had a couple of little reactions. See down here, it's all going to be covered up though, and it's had something on underneath and a little bit there. I'm going to give that another coat once it dries and just sort that out. The engine bay, not too bad about that section. That had wax oil on, I just blew a little bit in. Underneath, again a little reaction there, but that was just blown over what was already there, so that's not a concern, it was already painted. But everywhere that matters, all the welds are all covered. So I'm just going to give this a quick blow over once it's dry with 2K. I don't know whether you're going to see this, but I did give it a little blast underneath. There was no real prep work done under there, but it's just something to cover it. Alright, so here's how we're looking all dry the next day. I'm going to throw some diamond white I've got just on it, just so it's a bit easier to clean when it comes to it. Hopefully I've got enough to do the engine bay as well. I've only got about a litre and a bit. Little cracks like that I'm just going to have to live with, but it's all sealed as you can see, so that's the most important thing. So I'll throw some diamond white and hopefully it'll be alright. I've ordered some new discs and pads as well. Got some new bleed nipples that hopefully are going to fit, and some drop links because I noticed they're just a little bit dodgy. Right, so this is after it's been stone chipped and a top coat of diamond white. I'm going to give it one decent coat, that's all it's going to need on the inside. But the repairs and stuff look pretty good now. Everything blends in quite well. Floor's looking alright. Where I had the reaction is okay. Blew a little bit up the back. I'm going to carpet that eventually, but I do need to do a full. I'm going to have to cut that panel out and weld it up once I take that off. Under the arches, bear in mind this needs a respray on the outside, so I'm not too bothered about overspray. Engine bay is looking pretty smart. Quite pleased with it. bulkhead repairs worked out quite well. I've got a little piece that's going on there that I've actually made, but it's going to be detachable because I don't want to put something in that might hit the engine. And then underneath, I've blown some underneath as well. And then if I can get to this other wheel arch, there you go. And I've also just blown it over the front cross member. Right, so that's definitely the end of this video. Looks pretty good, I'm quite pleased with it. I just need to get it all fitted back up now.